Yeah.
It's Abigail and Max this week, flying solo, so we'll see what kind of train wreck we got coming along with this.
Well, we're kind of like Tom Cruise and the other guy in Top
like
Gun.
the Wonder Twins. Rain Man? Hey, wait a minute.
Would you be Tom Cruise or the other guy?
No, I'd rather be Rain Man, actually. I'd rather be super good at one thing than be a Scientologist. So
Oh,
there's
no,
that.
not necessarily. What's he called in Top Gun?
One
of them's called Goose.
I should know
We're
this.
demonstrating a very strong lack of pop culture knowledge here.
We are
In
demonstrating...
our defense, though, Top Gun is not a
propensity.
video game.
Let's see here. TopGun.com? No. What does
TopGun.com?
TopGun.com lead me to? Oh, yeah. Oh, it totally does. Founder bio. Okay. Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Wasn't he? Val Kilmer was in that. Before he got
He was, yeah.
really, really big. Maverick.
Maverick, there we
Maverick.
go. I'll be Maverick, and you can
Okay.
be Goose.
And I'll be... I don't want to be Goose. There was another
Goose
guy,
is
wasn't
pretty
there?
cool.
No, but... Can I be Meg Ryan?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Makes a
fine,
bit more
fair
sense,
enough.
doesn't it?
So welcome to the D22Zone podcast.
The D22 Top Gun podcast.
Top Gun podcast. It's all Top Gun all the time. So just a couple of things before we go back to being irreverent. We are actually going to be doing giveaways in conjunction with the site and the podcast. So what's going to happen is, you've all seen my lovely drawings off of podcast number 8. What happens is...
Good. I'm particularly handsome in your drawings.
I like Ollie's the best, of him in the dress with the cricket bat. And there's always me vomiting everywhere. I might die during this podcast, also FYI. But anyway, so we're doing private giveaways on Steam. The URL for the private giveaways, half of it is going to be somewhere in our podcast. It's probably going to be in one of my drawings, but I haven't decided which one yet. And then the other half of the code for the URL is going to be somewhere on the site. This week we are giving away Skyrim.
That's pretty good. I like
why
that.
not? Yeah, it's pretty good. That's I had a coupon for it, so I thought, why not? So yeah, so just keep a watch out. There will be half the code, like I said, on the site itself, and half the code will be lovingly doodled into one of the drawings. So, that being said, Max, what have you been playing this week?
A little bit of everything. I'm currently playing Mass Effect 3, which we can talk about in a little bit more detail later on if you like. Because obviously you have finished Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, if you can call it that.
Review.
Anyway, go on.
Let's talk about it now, it makes sense.
We might as well.
I like, full disclosure, I am maybe mere minutes into the game. I am doing aliens. I've yet to do any romancing. So, tell me why, in your opinion, Mass Effect 3 is bad.
Okay, well, I guess we do have to fill 40 minutes. Right, it's... A lot of people... Obviously the endings are bad. Obviously the run animations are bad, and I mentioned that in the review. But a lot of people are saying that, oh no, we just haven't figured it out. He's indoctrinated. It's actually... He's having a dream. Like, all this is a dream within a dream, and he's actually at the behest of the Reapers, and this is the greatest story ever told. Well, it's not. It's not. I have a different theory, that the game is just not finished. Like, you know how when you were in school and you had a presentation due, and you forgot that it was due, like you thought you had more time to finish it, and then you just spend the entire night cobbling something together that you hope is passable? That's the feeling I get with Mass Effect 3. It's not finished. Something happened.
Well,
Either they ran out of time or money or both.
Yeah, I read that there was talk that Martin Sheen, kind of like epilogue speech.
Yeah.
Or the Invisible Man, he's called, isn't he?
The Elusive Man, yes.
Elusive Man, sorry.
Yeah.
And the talk was that he was kind of kept waiting because they couldn't decide like how they quite wanted to finish the game.
Mm-hmm.
So his was one of the last pieces that they wrote.
Mm-hmm. Well, my theory is that all the ending, because the endings are exactly the same, but my theory is that the different endings, which are all the same ending, was actually just one ending, and they ran out of time, they ran out of money, said, okay, we'll color one red, and we'll color one blue, and we'll color one green, and we'll call them different endings, but it's, that's not the case. So that's exhibit number 1.
Okay.
For my theory that it just didn't get finished. Theory number 2 is the animations. We all
the run animation is something that has always bothered me.
It's pretty bad. We've all seen the run animation. I'm going to include it in the podcast. But there's also a couple of other animations right near the end where you're shooting a pistol and there's almost no animation at all. I'll put it in, I think, if it's not too spoilery, but it's pretty incredible to see, and I took a look at it right there, and I said, okay, that's just further evidence for my theory.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here.
No.
We're talking about, obviously, the ending of the game being perhaps not what people were expecting. Fans of the series have gone to, have invested a certain amount of time in the characters and the lore and in their own version of whatever Shepard is.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, regardless of what choices you make within the series, the ending is the same.
Yes.
Like, my question to you is what players were expecting. So obviously, what I would argue, bear in mind, haven't finished the game, this is just from what I've read, what I've seen, etc.
Yep.
Is this not the canon ending to the Mass Effect story?
I don't see how it could be. It would be extreme. I don't know why they would do that. It would be extremely difficult to argue that, just because of what happens. Okay. I'm trying not to spoil it, but basically you destroy the universe. No matter what you do, you're going to destroy the universe, which is one of the plot holes that people have been talking about. That has to do with the Mass Effect relays and all that. But,
and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that could have been one ending instead of all of them, but I came up with 4 other better endings to go along with that. Just in, lying in bed last night, fuming that I had wasted 30 hours on this terrible game.
Okay, so
not a fan.
Mass Effect as a franchise received special praise.
Yep.
Critics.
Yep.
I see why. As a package, I think it's very difficult to criticize. I find that had I been doing the review, obviously, if we take a different approach, I find it very difficult to pick holes in Mass Effect as a game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people have problems with the shooting and that kind of thing, and I understand the criticisms. I hear the criticism the same way that I hear the criticisms of the story and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's difficult to argue that Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3 so far are bad video games.
1 and 2 are not bad video games. They're different from 3, but they're not bad. Mass Effect 2 is on my top 10 games list ever, and I think it really represents sort of a pinnacle of what we could do with the current technology, with the with it was a high. And then we were expecting that for Mass Effect 3, and it did not deliver. It did not deliver as a Mass Effect game, and it didn't deliver as a video game, as a cover shooter. I've played better cover shooters.
Yeah, I think
almost exclusively.
The problem that I've always had with Mass Effect is it's kind of a jack of all trades game. My biggest problem is that this is with the BioWare. It tends to be a BioWare thing in general. Is that they have so much lore and such a fantastic universe, and very much the same with Dragon Age is that the world is so rich, but it's just relegated to kind of codex. And my video game is not sitting there for hours kind of leafing through a codex to understand like the history. That's one thing that I do think Mass Effect 2 does well. Obviously you have all of those sidekick missions where you have to kind of go off and like you learn a lot about the characters and the races and things like that in a really intelligent way.
Yep. But, and you end up bonding with the characters, all these characters that you love that barely show up in Mass Effect 3.
It's one of those, because obviously like you're introduced at the start of Mass Effect 3 to James, who it's one of those that I don't really understand. Like, obviously you could make, and I have done, poke fun at how you kind of run into the same people throughout this wide galaxy, which is, coincidental. But then at the same time, like, this guy's kind of been thrust upon me. Like, I've got my own Shepard, like, he's had his own adventures.
He's super cool.
Yep, he's super cool, and he's very handsome as well. Very handsome man.
Yes, she is.
Or woman, a very handsome woman as well. And all of a sudden, this guy kind of walks into my quarters at the start of the third game. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm here now." Okay.
And it's the laziest character.
Yeah,
that BioWare I think has ever created.
Like without kind of going down the that kind of route, like you've got all bases covered in terms of like ethnicities and origins and stuff like that. You've got like one of every race in the galaxy has like, you've got one of them in your party. But then this guy seems to be like the Native American that I was missing.
I think he's He's supposed to be Spanish.
Like Hispanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so that,
like,
but he's human.
But he's kind of forced upon you, and it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
And like, there's very little reason for me to care about James.
Yeah, I call him Lieutenant James stereotype in my review, and it's really what he is.
If he died like right now, 10 minutes into the game, 10 hours into the game, whatever, I'd be okay with that. Is that bad?
I used to. Well, yes, actually, for a BioWare game, yes. I used him once when I had no choice, and then I never picked him up again. Yeah, he's not great.
I am. I'm currently using him because I have to. Like, I have no other party members that I can use. So.
Exactly right. The real kick in the face is, and the other reason that I sort of think it's unfinished as a game, is that they don't develop his character, and that's unusual for BioWare, but also because of that Day 1 DLC. Like, fine if you want to have Day 1 DLC. I won't buy it. Maybe, if it's good, I'll buy it later on. But the most interesting character, arguably of the entire series, is that DLC, which costs $10, yeah.
So I avoided like Mass Effect 3 kind of discussions and spoilers and things like that until I picked up the game. So, which is why obviously all the ending talk, I'm like, sounds like I'm defending the ending, but I'm defending the idea.
You haven't gotten
like,
there yet.
People kind of so I see the kind of reaction, and it seems over to me. But obviously when I get there, I'll be in a better place to judge. But so this Day 1 DLC is obviously something else that I avoided kind of looking at.
Yeah.
And so what is it? Is it, like in Mass Effect 2, you have like characters that are locked away by DLC. Is it the same thing here?
Yes. You get let me put it this way. You get a member of an ancient race, and he's the last of his kind. And he's super awesome. Like, I watched a Let's Play of it. He's so much more interesting than James or this new non-playable lesbian romance interest that they added on in this reporter, Diana Allers or something.
Oh, I punched her in the face in the first like 5 minutes of the game.
Well, you did a good job there. But he's so interesting, and that's, to me, is such a huge part of the story that to not include that is a little insulting. And he's you get him rather early on.
I didn't pick up Dragon Age to begin with either. I picked up the Ultimate Edition of Dragon Age.
Okay, that's with the Awakening.
Yeah,
right?
with Awakening and all of that. And it was strange to me as well in that Shale was DLC. He, again, is one of the more interesting characters. Instead, I was kind of lumbered with Alistair, who... Yeah, less said the better, really.
Yeah.
But no, it does seem strange. Like, it's... I don't know, maybe it's because I've been reading about all of this kind of consumer stuff, but it seems like anti-consumer to lock away not only one of the more interesting characters, but also... It's obviously something that a lot of people feel as well, returning the game, complaining that the game hasn't lived up to the expectations that they had, filing complaints with Federal Trade Commission and...
Okay, that's going a little far.
Yeah, it is a little... Like... I see all of this and I think, wow, is the ending that bad or are people that crazy?
I think the problem that people have, and I mentioned this in the review on D22Zone.com, hyphenated, is that throughout the first Mass Effect 1 and 2, and also throughout 3, it's like the side quests matter, except that they don't in Mass Effect 3. So I just stopped doing them because I knew that when you get to the end, it's just the same ending no matter what happens, and even if it was the same ending, if it doesn't matter anymore. Nothing you do matters anymore, and that was really the hallmark, I think, of Mass Effect 1 and 2. In Mass Effect 2, I did everything right, and people still died. So, I mean, it was really something.
But then this is what I go back to about the canon of the story.
Yeah.
So obviously, like in something like The Witcher, Dragon Age, things like this, there is a story, and you play a character within that story. But you make choices within it, but then ultimately is there not an ending to Shepard's story in Mass Effect? Is that not why people are concerned about what they've seen as the ending?
I don't have a problem with Shepard dying. In fact, to me, Shepard died at the end of Mass Effect 2. That's it. There is no Mass Effect 3. It was that bad.
Yeah.
I think the problem that they had was that the options given at the end did not reflect Shepard. Like, or their Shepard, or
I think that's
really just
the
Shepard in
central kind of conceit of the Mass Effect franchise in general. Is that, to me, I was playing John Shepard. As boring as it sounds, I've kept the default face, I've kept his default name, because to me, that is the character of the Mass Effect kind of universe. But I think the conceit is that BioWare kind of offered you the chance to create your own Shepard, create your own character, forge your own path, and then took that away from you.
Yep.
Is maybe why all the things I'm reading don't affect me quite as much as people who spent hours developing their own face, reading the lore, getting immersed in it, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I didn't read, like, I enjoy on occasion reading the wiki every now and again, but I don't read the codex really. The nice thing about Mass Effect 2 and why I think it's the best one of the series is that there was a lot more of that through the gameplay. It was what's that old adage? Show don't tell or whatever. Well, they did the opposite of that, and it was really good. So it was just so disappointing. It didn't have the impact. Like the first two open up Mass Effect, and you are there. You are in the action from word go.
The opening of Mass Effect 2 is maybe like one of the finest.
Yep.
I've seen ever.
Yep. Like it's art basically. that I played the opening and I was like, well, maybe I'll give Mass Effect 2 a shot, and then I was hooked. I was hooked from that opening.
Yeah, like I downloaded the demo, which is obviously that sequence, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think it is.
I
can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong on that one.
I just picked up the game.
I finished
for like
the first game.
$14.
I wasn't massively impressed with the first game. In truth, I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the second game, like I think my only problem with the second game is the overall narrative I thought struggled because they put so much emphasis on these kind of side quests for your characters. It meant that I got to know them a lot better, and I got immersed in the lore a lot more. But if you ask me what the story of Mass Effect 2 was, all I would say is, oh yeah, Shepard has to recruit some people to do something.
Yeah, that I agree.
And that's
with that.
kind of it.
Like, I had completely forgotten about the collectors, or like that they were not the Reapers, but I didn't care about that because I played it really, and that's sort of how I play games, is I play it for the personal bit. Like every video game has a story of, you know, one man having to save the universe, but it was the little things like Morden talking about his nephew and you know, like yeah.
No, I know
just
what you mean.
finding out
But I
about all
think
these different races.
Maybe why 3 then struggles is that it then puts into the spotlight the Mass Effect story, which is not a good one. Like, as you said, the story of Mass Effect as a franchise is this one human saves the universe in the face of insurmountable odds.
Yep.
Like, that's the story.
Like
and it's the oldest story ever.
Pretty much.
It's every video game ever.
Yeah.
Only, you know, instead of universe, it's world, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like they wrote themselves into a corner in that sense, but they still could have salvaged it. For example, I came up with a much better ending. Oh, I just got an achievement, sorry. Like, for example, I was playing a Paragon Shepard, and there's events that happen throughout the game to which it would have made it viable for Shepard to say, no, we're going to let the Reapers destroy all of us, and we're going to hope that the next cycle we're going to leave our knowledge to them, and then the next cycle maybe we'll have something better. So I don't care that Shepard dies always, but it's the lack of originality was just
like,
astounding.
it's a strange story. Like, essentially playing a Jesus-like narrative, aren't you? Like, obviously Shepard dies.
We're getting deep here.
Yeah, like, I mean, Shepard dies at the start of the second game, like, technically.
Oh, spoiler!
When Normandy goes down.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of reborn, and then
risen from the ashes.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's one of those.
No, and totally that's what they did with the Matrix. That was kind of the whole thing.
I hated that as well. So.
Oh, did you? I thought it was okay.
Well,
I
like first Matrix film, but I like it for the reasons that everyone did.
I know Kung Fu. Show me.
Liked watching Keanu Reeves kind of backflip off walls and shoot people.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when they started focusing on the story, I thought, wow, this is awful. The second film is maybe the worst thing I've ever sat through. Anyway, we digress. Maybe people will look back on this discussion in years to come and say they saw it first. The Matrix.
They did it. They saw it. They were there. We should have listened.
They were on the front line.
Now we have to buy our games in $10 increments. Oh,
yeah,
and that's
it's all
another
thanks
thing.
to them.
That's another thing. In order to get the perfect ending, 100% completion for Mass Effect 3, you have to play multiplayer, and you have to play it much.
That's the thing that shocked me. Was that because obviously you have a war meter on Mass Effect 3 that represents how much you need to accomplish within the game before you can face the end. And it's much the same as Effect 2, but from what I understand is that war meter, you need to play multiplayer to fill it up to its maximum amount.
Yeah, you do. You need to play multiplayer to finish a single player game.
But that's not a good idea.
No, it's not. It's a terrible idea. And they sell packs that will allow you to, I guess, artificially do that. Like, you can pay money to complete that aspect of it. You don't actually have to play the multiplayer. You could do that.
You're saying if I want to, I can pay real money to put my war meter up to full.
That is my understanding. Yes.
Like, here's what I understand. Like, if the multiplayer, obviously they want people to play the multiplayer, which is why they've put in this system where you can't have to. Why not encourage people to play it by offering credits or something like that, so that you can upgrade your ship fully without having to explore everything in the single player?
And make that actually mean something. Like if you don't upgrade your ship fully, everybody
That
dies
was the thing
and the
in the
Reapers
second
win
one. I
and all
thought,
that.
oh shit,
Yeah.
I really have to upgrade my shields
Yep.
because who knows? And then I was like, oh, well, I don't need to
Do anything.
I don't
Really?
need to do anything.
Bus full of doe-eyed school children? Nah. I'm just gonna move right on. Yeah. So that's.
But it's worth thinking about something. I saw today that watch this for a segue as well. This is very good.
Oh.
That Mini Ninjas.
Okay.
From, the game from Square Enix. They're offering it to play through a browser, and you pay something like 50p per level.
That's $1 in real money.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, 80 cents, something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. But, like, is that the way that this is going? Is that what you're saying? What we could see one day, potentially, is a free-to-play Mass Effect game, whereby you pay to unlock planets, weapons, like, bosses, characters, like, all this kind of thing.
I think that's what.
I wonder.
That's a good question. Like, I have my qualms about the Old Republic. That should be free to play, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I think now it's a difficult time for any MMO.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a really powerful name behind you, which obviously Star Wars does, then it's
Yeah.
difficult to kind of justify. Well, regardless of the quality of the game as well. I mean, Star Wars could be the best MMO ever made.
It's not, but go on.
Well, yeah, but it could be.
Yeah.
But it's still difficult to justify charging a subscription for it, because people now, companies now have demonstrated that free-to-play models, 9 times out of 10, are not only more profitable, but are also more beneficial to the player.
That plays into my Mass Effect 3 is not finished. I think they probably lost a ton of money on the Old Republic, and I don't necessarily think that it's EA. Everybody's blaming EA for this. I think somebody made a bad business decision, either at EA or BioWare or together or separately, and we just got two poor games out of it. The Old Republic and this one that we've been talking about, Mass Effect 3. That's the one.
Well, yeah, review forthcoming.
Yes.
Mass Effect 3.
Yes, and that's the other thing that bothers me, is that I went on Metacritic, and everybody's giving this game 9 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
the
but
lowest I
that's what we
found
were
was
saying.
75.
Like, that's what we were saying earlier. Like, it's difficult to give this game a bad score. Like, it's been difficult for critics to
it's
give
not.
the series a bad. Well, if you look at it by like the standard metric of, like, if you take the IGN example of scoring, for example, so you break it down into presentation, graphics, sound, etc., that kind of thing, it's very, very difficult to pick this game apart. I mean,
it's not. I did it, and I will explain that, but it's not. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, like, if, like, obviously presentation-wise, graphics, sound, like, it's difficult for me to tell you what I would improve. Like, artistically, like, that's one of the things I enjoy most about the Mass Effect series, is going to these planets, you know, interacting with these species and, like, seeing the world that BioWare's created, like, or the worlds, plural, rather.
Yeah. My problem with that is, and I think I mentioned it, I don't know, I wrote such a scathing review, I have to go back and make sure it's not
And make
it's
sure
not
you
overly
don't get
biased.
a letter from BioWare's mum
Well,
assaulting its child.
so from EA, I guess.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, but I stopped looking at it as Mass Effect, and I started looking at it as just a game, and I still came up with that. And the other problem is that a lot of these sites, including ours, has advertisement from, like, Shepard is staring me in the face right now. So I think that probably influences a lot of reviews, and it shouldn't.
Well, I think you raise an interesting point. Like, if this weren't a Mass Effect game,
Yep.
this were, Space Shooter number 3, would we be judging it in the same way? Because obviously people are not taking this as a game in itself, they're taking it as the conclusion of a trilogy. But maybe in these reviews that we're reading, all these high positive scores and things like that, people are thinking about the trilogy as a whole, thinking about this as a conclusion to that trilogy, rather than taking it as a game in its own right.
Yeah. And my experience has been that it fails as a piece of Mass Effect lore. It doesn't quite fail as a game, but there are such better examples of cover shooters, story-based, interesting worlds, better plots, that this is not a 9 out of 10 game. It's not the worst game ever made, but it does not deserve the scores that it's been getting. Which is why you come to D22Zone.com for all your late-breaking game news.
Well, exactly. I mean, if you haven't yet purchased Mass Effect, or perhaps you've finished Mass Effect and you want someone who shares your scathing opinion, I think you found a review for you.
You can send all your hate mail to Abigail at D22-Zone.com.
Yeah, don't send it to me, because I get enough of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I don't want to take too much away from your review, so we'll put Mass Effect to bed for now.
Yep,
I'm sure we'll talk about it.
I think that's a smart idea.
Finished it.
It's been like a half hour already.
Yeah. And then people are like, oh man, Mass Effect 4's out soon. And I'm like, so guys, I really wanted to talk about Mass Effect 3.
Let's talk about this new game I got. Yep.
So what else have you been playing? What else have been you playing, rather?
I haven't been playing anything else. The other problem is that it takes 30 hours to get through Mass Effect.
It does.
And I did it. I did that for you. I did that for you,
yeah, I'm very grateful.
I did that for you. And I got a late fee charged on my rental of it, which I had to drive 10 kilometers out of my way because there are no video rental stores in my city because they charge you a lot. But anyway, so I haven't been playing anything else, but as I understand it, you've been playing a game, review forthcoming, that sounds like Project Zomboid, but a lot better.
Well, another full disclosure, I think. Are we allowed to say Project Zomboid's bad? I think one of us has played it on the site.
Yeah, Ollie played it, and then I was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. And then I was looking for interesting video to put into the podcast, and I couldn't really find it, so I just found the longest one.
Well, yeah, I've been playing a game called Deadly 30. This is almost like an exclusive, which is quite exciting.
Ooh.
We were contacted by them. And, they bill it as a old-fashioned kind of shooter. So they say kind of like a throwback to the old school is their kind of like tagline for it in the PR that we received. And
is it
I loaded it up and like there's no media available for this game. Like, we've been sent some screenshots, things like that, stuff that will kind of go live. But you guys will hear about this like over the next few days. Friday is the official day that we've got for it.
We're almost like a real game review site.
I know, right? But it's a side-scrolling game, and it's kind of got a Contra look to it. You use the mouse to kind of look around and like aim and like that. WAS and to move. But the premise is you have to survive for 30 days and 30 nights. You start off in an area where no zombies spawn during the day, and you have a safe house. You have 5,000 pieces of scrap metal, which kind of act as your currency. And you have to spend that 5,000 to activate the generator, which powers the light source for your safe house.
Okay, does this take place in present day or like slightly in the future?
It isn't clear. The 3 playable characters are one American character who looks slightly. He's wearing kind of like the kind of Vietnam.
Okay. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
That's
gonna be a funny drawing.
Yeah. You have a Russian who has a kind of long trench coat, the rifle with one of those kind of like Cossack hats.
Okay.
And then you have a female German soldier. And obviously, a hilarious banter ensues between the characters as well. You know, there's some stereotyping going on in there, but you know, it's all kind of tongue in cheek. At least in terms of the narrative. Like, there's one sequence, I think, after you survive the 4th night, where the American are just kind of sitting down, cigar in hand, kind of musing about how the zombies are all killing people and things like that. And then he makes a disgusting noise, and then he says, "I have diarrhea," and it really does. He's actually sitting on the toilet. But, like, it's strange. Like, it's kind of slightly out of tone with the rest of it, because it is properly difficult. It is a difficult game. Like, so I spent my 5,000 scrap metal, and I thought, it's going to ease me into it. You know, I'll probably get to like day 10 on my first playthrough, as I understand the mechanics and things like that. My first playthrough, I died on the 3rd night.
Wow.
And yeah, but obviously it has like a resume function where it puts you at the start of your most recent day.
Oh, love it when they do that.
Yeah. And so I started again, and I came across one of the other characters, and you can switch between them. But once you find them, they're kind of defending themselves against zombies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they follow you around. You can lead them back to your safe house and things like that. And you can switch between them at any time by pressing like 1, 2, and 3.
Neat.
And
it's cool. Sounds like
Jagged
Alliance a little bit there.
It is. Obviously it's like a bit more accessible. Like, Jagged Alliance has that really kind of old-fashioned kind of interface to it, but it is similar to that like kind of idea. My only problem, which is the only problem I have with it so far, is that your teammates. Basically, there are 2 entrances to your safe house, like 2 doors, and you can construct kind of fences and things like that outside, and then spend your credits to upgrade them to kind of electric fences. You can build turrets and things like that, but they're all very expensive, so you have to be really careful. So obviously, if you've got 2 people, what you're looking for is for one of you to guard one entrance, one of you to guard the other. But of course, it's not that simple. Like, your other colleague they'll go upstairs, they'll watch the same door as you. Like, they do a good job. Like, obviously, they've tried to make it so that he'll watch the other entrance. Occasionally, he'll kind of go for a little wander. You'll turn around and there are zombies in your base. Like, well, what have you been doing? Like, it is difficult.
You're supposed to be watching the door. Wow.
Like,
is it fun?
It is a lot of fun. Like, the email they sent us comes with like a few gameplay tips.
Okay.
And one of them is, why would you bother? Like, you have a bed and you can sleep up until night time. Like, if you want to if you think your defense is okay, it's kind of like tower defense in that respect as well. That you can spend your money upgrading your defenses and things like that, and you can sleep to get to kind of like the next wave. But the email that we got said, don't sleep, because you'll need to spend your days kind of like collecting scrap metal. And obviously, the further away from your safe house you go, the more scrap metal you find. But obviously, it's a payoff because there are more enemies the further away you go, and it takes you longer to get back to the safe house. And yeah, it is a struggle. It really is a struggle.
But it's a fun struggle. It's not like...
It is a fun struggle, yeah. Like, once I kind of had a better understanding, like, crouching not only improves your accuracy, but also your damage. And you can kind of double tap a direction to kind of jump. Like, you can do that all the time, and makes you that, like, a little bit quicker. Like, once I kind of knew little control things like that, like, and thinking about upgrading weapons and things like that, I got to night 7, I think.
Okay.
And if you lose one of your companions, this is quite a cool feature, that if there's 2 of you and one of you dies, the screen will go black and white and slowly fade back into colour. And as it fades back into colour, from my understanding, is that the colleague that you lose will respawn somewhere in the world, and then you can find them and recruit them again.
But that means going out.
It does mean
outside
going out.
is danger. It
is very dangerous. Like, obviously, there's like winks and nods in there to kind of Left 4 Dead and things like that. Like, one of the zombies is a boomer, essentially. So as you shoot him, he kind of explodes, and his kind of stick goes everywhere onto you, and the screen goes funny and things like that. But obviously, there's a lot of like modern like winks in there as well. Obviously, you got things like Terraria, Minecraft, all kind of like influences as well.
It sounds like a game that, like, you had a long day at work, you just want to kick back, not get overly frustrated, but not, it sounds fun. I can't wait to play it.
Yeah,
I just got that email. So
the semi-official line that we've got is it's out this Friday. So by the time people listen to this podcast, and hopefully we'll be able to like post the trailer as well with this podcast.
Ooh.
I have got it though. It'll be $5 is the
Really?
price that they've said. And from what I've already read so far, it seems worth it. Like, it's a real good mix of loads of popular like genres at the moment. It's got a real good kind of balance to it as well, and like it's just really fun to play.
Yeah, $5 is like, no, it's only $5. I'll give it a shot.
What's that?
You know?
Snapple money? That's a product, right?
Snapple, yes. You
Yeah,
guys don't have
other products
Snapple?
are available. We don't have Snapple here.
What?
What is it like? Is it like fizzy apple juice? Or
No, it's like iced tea.
iced. We don't.
You guys don't
It's
have.
not
You
a
guys
really
are.
big thing over here.
Oh my god, I would.
Like we have like Long Island.
That's
iced
my drink,
tea.
man. That's my drink.
Yeah, like Long Island iced tea is disgusting.
Yeah, well, that's iced tea.
I'm gonna throw that out there now. We have
Alcohol
Lipton
in
iced tea, which I think
Yeah.
is a bit like Snapple. Like you get like pear flavored iced tea, stuff like
Okay,
that.
that's gross, and I don't
Yeah.
know what you guys are doing with
it
your lives over there.
Yeah, it's a struggle over here.
Man, you guys. How many people are in the UK? That might be another thing. Just
13.
a couple.
It's me, Jason, the Prime Minister, the Queen, and then a few more.
Huh. All right. Well, that's probably why. It's not a big market segment.
No, and I mean the Prime Minister asked me personally if I liked iced tea. I said no. So obviously that's why we don't have that.
So
much.
that's why. Yeah, that is exactly why.
We're not doing that. We're not compromising the integrity of the show to sell.
Wow, this is Diet Snapple?
I know. It tastes just like regular Snapple, doesn't it?
You should try pomegranate. It's amazing.
I only date guys who drink Snapple.
Look, we all love Snapple. Lord knows I do, but focus here.
Huh. Well, I like.
But yeah,
iced
that's
tea.
this Friday. One thing I don't know if you've seen this actually. One game I am excited about, being a PC only website, is Grimrock.
Shamrock.
No, Grimrock.
Grimrock. You cut out.
Yes.
It's totally not my fault.
Yeah, sorry about that. Have you
Should be.
played? It's kind of like a one square kind of movement game, like a dungeon, like an old-fashioned dungeon crawler. So obviously you move around, and the mobs kind of move around like one square at a time.
Okay.
And it is really good. That is out April 11th. There's like all kinds of bits and pieces on the website, D22Zone.com, for that as well.
Hyphenated.
Yeah, and obviously that it links me nicely because obviously we've been kind of monitoring the progress of it for a while, and it's being made available on Good Old Games, or should I say
nice.
GOG.
Gog.com.
Yeah, obviously now they are no longer Good Old Games only. Like they are good new games as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
I'm also happy about that, and I am hoping that they get System Shock 2
Oh yeah, that would be
up
nice.
there really fast. That seems to be they're having this new thing where if you sign up, you get 7 free games.
Really?
So yeah, they're free anyway, so I was able to get them.
Oh, okay.
They're decent games.
But one of them is Beneath Steel Sky, I think.
Yeah, that one's actually
Yeah.
pretty good. Ultima 4 is one of them.
Yep.
Um,
One of them I think is called like Teen something.
Teen Agent.
Yeah, Teen Agent. That's
Yeah,
the one.
I haven't played that one yet, but
I
it's
think that would have been the first one
Really?
I played.
Huh. Well, you're British.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you can go on Good Old Games and get your 7 free games, and you can vote for which one you want to see next. And System Shock 2 has a commanding lead.
Yeah, Grim Fandango I think is up there as well.
Yeah, that's another one. But I own Grim Fandango and I replay it like every year.
I do as
so
well on disc, but obviously
Yeah,
I haven't
me
played it
too.
on Windows 7. But
You can get it working.
But,
Okay, there's
yeah,
a patch, isn't there?
there is like an unofficial kind of fan-made patch, I think it is. I'd still like to see it because obviously with Good Old Games, the thing that I like about it, or GOG, sorry, is that regardless of what game you buy, you get quite a lot of extras.
Yes.
Like, you get kind of wallpapers, artwork, soundtrack for some games, things like that.
Oh, it's
And for
playing.
new games, with the absence of manuals, slowly dying trend, and obviously with Steam and things like that, you don't get a lot of this kind of extra bits and pieces. But with Good Old Games, with like, because obviously with something like Mass Effect 3, for example, you get a paper manual with a PC release that just kind of has your activation code on it. But if EA through Origin, for example, offered downloads of high-res kind of concept art and all this kind of thing, it makes it like a lot more attractive, I think.
And even the collector's edition of games, they're starting to really cut back on stuff like that. So it's nice to see. Like, I got Planescape Torment, and I got the Planescape Torment novel. So I don't actually have to play the game. I just read the novel.
The free games on there, like Beneath the Steel Sky and things like that, have additional content, like additional materials and stuff like that. It's really cool. Like, Legend of Grimlock will be available on GOG, and will have like that kind of thing available to it as well. But the thing that I like about indie games, in terms of their like distribution, is that the Grimlock guys are offering, from what I can tell, 3 means of distribution. One of which through like GOG, where you get kind of all your like additional pieces, like artwork, soundtrack, that kind of thing. One of them is directly through Steam, and for a lot of people that's a big deal because you can get, you know, Steam achievements and you've got all your games in one place. Third option is through the company directly, which is obviously, you know, they make the most profit for that channel, but also they're offering a DRM-free EXE of the game and the Steam key as well. Quite nice. I'm pro-choice.
That is nice. I'm also pro-choice. Yeah, no, that I don't know why more companies don't do that. And it's funny, you know, as I was... I swear to God, this is the last thing we're going to say about Mass Effect 3.
This is another Mass Effect 3 discussion.
But I had this terrible taste in my mouth about it. Is that now that these AAA titles are failing to deliver, I think indie games are really starting to step it up. I'm much more into indie games than I was.
I think we talked about Binding of Isaac.
Yep. The review of which is on D22.com.
Yeah, it is. Good as well.
Yeah.
But the thing that I like about Isaac, maybe not so much gameplay-wise, like it's a fairly standard game in terms of that, but the risks that Binding of Isaac takes with its subject matter, are... I mean, it's not a particularly mature handling of the subject matter, I don't think. Like, it's in there, and like there's some poop jokes and things like that, you know, you got Mom's Bra, but underneath it's a real sinister... I don't know if I'd go as far to say anti-religious, but there's definitely something in there along those lines.
There's definitely that. I think there's that part of it. I chose to ignore that because I really didn't want the flame mail. What I got from it was, and I think I made this point in the review, is that there are clear signs this kid has been abused, and it's everywhere, and it's not overt. It's like in getting an item that says dinner and it's dog food. And I think The Binding of Isaac is important because at the time when I wrote it, we were like millions of dollars was being spent in the U.S. Supreme Court to censor violent video games and things like that. So why are we not paying? Like, why does violence get censored, but things like this don't get censored when they are really more disturbing than, you know, something like Manhunt, or perhaps as disturbing as something like Manhunt? I'm not saying that it should be censored. I think it's just that we are asking the wrong questions.
No, I know what you mean. It's like, imagine if Mass Effect 3, which maybe to my knowledge is the highest selling franchise or game of the year so far.
I think that was it was the highest franchise was The Sims, and that was another one.
I think Mass Effect 3, sold gangbusters, I think
probably
is the term. But imagine if we were in a position that we could talk about a AAA title having the kind of content and the kind of tone that The Binding of Isaac has.
Absolutely. And also as I see The Binding of Isaac as disturbing, but also as a form of protest against child abuse, and also as a form of awareness. And I can't really think of any other titles except maybe Human Revolution, but I got really intellectually into that. In terms of like empowering the disabled and things like that.
Well, it's disappointing that we can't have this kind of discussion. Disappointing that the major titles don't engage people in that way. Like, we have people discussing Mass Effect 3 ending, but we don't have people talking about the content of the Binding of Isaac, other than it's disgusting. It should be banned. Like Nintendo rejected it for 3DS. We know with good reason.
Yeah.
Like it's perfectly acceptable.
It's not exactly Nintendo material.
Yeah.
Like my boyfriend won't even play it because I was legitimately disturbed while playing it, and I told him that, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that." He's really sensitive when it comes to kids, so yeah.
Well, I think it's like obviously as she's talking about like kind of subtlety of it, like he cries, like that's how he defends himself.
Your only weapons for most of it are your tears.
Yeah. And Mum's bra, which freezes everyone turns into stone. Well, I think that's the only thing, is like, that kind of humour, for me, detracts from the subtlety of everything else. Like, just at the moment where you're thinking to yourself, when you get the coat hanger, and like, it makes him cry even more, and you think, wow, wait a minute, what? And then, like, you kill a little poo pile, and there's a little smiley face under it, and stuff like that. I don't know, unless it's a comment about like the kind of childish humour as an escape from this kind of. But I think that's going into it. But there's a DLC for Binding of Isaac soon.
Is there?
Yes.
I don't have
there
DLC.
is.
Really?
What's
the DLC?
I will send you the pictures.
Thank you.
I'm not aware of the title. This is how clued up I am. But I know
I see. It hasn't been released
It kind of went
yet.
under the radar for me. I was kind of browsing, like reading, asking some questions about Isaac.
Okay.
And then stumble across people discussing the DLC, which is soon apparently.
Really? I think. I was gonna say I think I'll pick it up. But
obviously you did seem to enjoy Isaac though.
Once you get sort of desensitized to it a little bit, it's actually a really solid game, gameplay wise. But picking it up first is the problem, So
it's kind of a deceptive game in that it doesn't really give itself away in terms of what kind of game it is until you start getting better items. Like it's a twin stick shooter essentially, but people kind of look at it and they look at the map and they look at the items and they're like, oh, it's a Zelda game. And no, it's not.
It's kind of a Zelda game.
It's got that to it, but I mean mechanically speaking, it's not. It couldn't really be further away. Well, exactly. Binding of Isaac. We're up to date. Mass Effect 3. We're on the ball.
And it's what is it? 30 days.
Yeah.
We are up there at D22Zone.com. I think we should probably wrap this up because I don't remember when we started.
Before we continue talking about Mass Effect
Mass Effect 3.
This is the D22 Mass Effect cast, after all.
It's the Abigail and Max Mass Effect.
I think that's
Circle Jerk.
Like a real catchy title.
That is. I think we should do it all just us from now on. I miss Ollie. I don't get to draw him this week.
Yeah,
PO'd about that.
He can just be kind of like sitting in the corner.
Sitting quietly, watching and waiting, playing Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, constantly in the background.
Just constantly. Alright, so that's it for us this week. Remember to look out for the Skyrim giveaway. Half the code is going to be somewhere in this podcast, and half the code is going to be somewhere on the site. So good hunting, guys, and have a great week.
See you later.
Bye.